Well, hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing the TMI tag. This tag was originally created by Jix Books and I will leave a link in the description below to that video. I was tagged by Book Geek Movie Freak and I will leave a link to her channel below as well. This tag is really long, so I'm going to jump right into it. I think it's about 50 questions, so let's get started. I would have to say Jace from the Mortal Instrument series. My book boyfriend is probably Damon from the Lux series. I haven't ever loved a character and then started hating him. The reason behind that is probably because I have a tendency to not finish series, or I put off continuing with it, so I like them from the beginning and then I hear tidbits about how they've gone bad or something like that, but I don't ever get that far into a series to really see that personality in them. So I don't really have an answer for this question. Probably this one. With the epilogue, it's 759 pages. Under the Dome might beat this book by a little bit. I think Under the Dome might be closer to 1,000, but this is closest to me, so I'm going to go with this one. This would probably be the heaviest book on my shelf from what I can gather. I mean, it's a pretty hefty book. There might be some other books that weigh a little bit more than this one, but this one's pretty heavy. I do have one book poster. It's actually behind my camera. It is The Fault in Our Stars. It's not the book to movie cover. It just has a bunch of different quotes from The Fault in Our Stars. I do have book-themed jewelry. I have a necklace that says Bibliophile. I have some earrings that say Book Nerd. I don't have any jewelry that pertains to a particular book. Probably Ron and Hermione, just because it's Ron and Hermione and they're great. So that's probably my OTP. That's the only one that comes to mind. My favorite book series is probably Twilight, and I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but Twilight is the book that got me back into reading, so that's probably going to be one of my all-time favorites forever. My favorite book to movie soundtrack right now is The Fault in Our Stars. It is an excellent soundtrack. I really, really enjoy it. I do want to get the Mockingjay Part 1 soundtrack and the one to Divergent because I have a feeling those would be really good as well. The book that I wish would continue would be Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, because I really, really, really love that book and I wish that it would continue with their story. It is also one of my favorite standalones. I've read books since I was a kid. I've always been into books. My parents read to me when I was little. I picked up books when I was at a young age. I read, I guess during high school I kind of slowed down with my reading a little bit because I wasn't as interested in it, but after high school and after getting married and things, I had a coworker that brought Twilight to work and they were like, "This book is really great, you should pick it up." So I did, and ever since then I've been hooked. So probably I would say that I've been a hardcore avid reader since about 2006. I think when I took the test for the Hogwarts house I was in Gryffindor? I think it was Gryffindor. I like to look for books that have really interesting covers or a very interesting synopsis on them because that will draw me in. If it sounds like something that's original, something that I haven't read before, then I will definitely give it a try. My favorite book quote, I'm actually looking at it right now. It says, "My thoughts are stars I can't fathom into constellations." It's probably one of my favorites, maybe not my all-time, but that's what comes to mind right now. My favorite author is probably Linwood Barclay. He's a suspense thriller novelist, and I don't think that a lot of people in the BookTube community know about him because he's an adult author, but he is so good. Time for Goodbye was the first book that I read by him, and it was excellent. Ever since then, I've been hooked. This is his most recent one, No Safe House, but it's actually ties in with No Time for Goodbye. So if you're interested, pick up No Time for Goodbye and then pick this one up because they're both so good. And he has a lot of others. He usually, well, lately he's been coming out with a book kind of like every year, so I would definitely recommend him. My favorite book cover right now is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray, for obvious reasons, because look at it, it's so gorgeous, and on the back even so. I haven't actually looked at it without the dust jacket. And it's purple, so that makes it even prettier. I would say a combination of both. I really like action, but I also like romance. I like action more than romance, but what's action without a little romance, am I right? When a sad moment happens in a book, I usually just continue reading. I don't really have a place that I go to. It depends on the size of the book. Usually a couple of days if it's like a 400-page book, but if it's like a graphic novel, give me an hour or two and I'll be done with it. I don't really have a mourning period for books. Sometimes books put me in a little funk, but that doesn't happen very often, so I can't even remember the last book that put me in a funk, so I usually don't really have a period where I'm mourning over a book. For my least favorite book right now, I would have to say Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge, and that's just because I had kind of high expectations for it and I ended up not liking it very much at all. My turn on in a character would probably be someone who is outgoing and creative and has kind of like a snarky attitude, but not in a bad way, if that makes sense. My turn off in a character would be someone who's very conceited and full of themselves and just and they're just generally mean to everyone. That I would not like a character like that, and I know there's a lot of those. I joined BookTube in order to meet other people that like to read, because in the community that I'm in, I don't know a lot of people that like to read, so it's hard to discuss interests and fangirl over certain things. It's a lot of fun doing BookTube so far. I've really enjoyed it and I've met some really awesome people. So my camera fell down. I may not have the same angle, but we're gonna go with it. So Scary Book is Locked Down by Alexander Gordon Smith. This is a really, really, really good series. It's very creepy. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily like scary, but it did creep me out a little bit. Last book that made me cry is probably Winger by Andrew Smith. I think I've mentioned that book in another video. The last book that I gave 5 stars was Saga Volume 3. That's a graphic novel, so previous to that I gave 5 out of 5 stars to The Silence of Six by E.C. Myers, and you should definitely check that one out. It's really good. I don't really have any favorite book titles. I've never really thought of book titles as a thing that you could have a favorite of, if that makes sense. Maybe if I had to pick, either I'll Give You the Sun by J.D. Nelson or These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I'd probably pick those two. Maybe Noggin by John Corey Whaley. That one's pretty good too. This book that I read was Saga Volume 3, before that Volume 2, and before that I read The Silence of Six by E.C. Myers. The book that I'm currently reading is Black Ice by Becca Fitzpatrick, and I don't have the book jacket in here, nor do I have the book in here because it's in my living room where I like to read. Last book adaptation that I watched was Mockingjay Part 1, and I thought it was pretty good. A book character that I always wanted to talk to is probably Alice from Alice in Wonderland, just to discuss with her all of the things that she encountered while she was in Wonderland. I think that would be really cool. For an author that I've always wanted to talk to, it would probably be Linwood Barclay, just because he's my all-time favorite author, and it would be amazing to talk to him about his writing style and how he comes up with these ideas, because his books are so suspenseful. They've always got all these different twists and turns, so you never know what's going to happen, and I just love that. My favorite book snack would probably be anything that's not messy, like maybe popcorn or something like that. A lot of times I just drink coffee or something when I'm reading. The book world that I would want to live in would probably be the Harry Potter world. It would be really amazing to be in the Harry Potter world, I think. Least world that I would want to live in? Probably the Fifth Wave, because there's so much chaos and death in that book. I don't think I'd want to live during that. It's been a while since I've smelled a book. Probably because I haven't bought any books recently. It's one thing to smell your own book, it's another thing to smell a library book, so we're not going to go there. I can't think of any weird insults off the top of my head, but if you read like Jennifer L. Armentrout's books, some of the insults in there are pretty funny and silly. I know Wait For Me has some pretty funny moments. My favorite romance book. I don't read a lot of romance, but I guess if you categorize Jennifer L. Armentrout as a romance writer, then probably White Hot Kiss. I don't know what that series is called, but so far that's probably my favorite. I do write. I'm actually working on a novel right now, so hopefully that will become a thing in the future, I hope. My favorite magical item would probably be a wand, because all I'd have to do is flick my wrist and things would be done for me, which would be awesome. Your Quidditch position. I am not athletic. I would probably never play Quidditch. There are a lot of songs that I would connect to books, but a lot of them come from like the soundtracks of the movies that have come out. I would probably say a lot of the songs by Florence and the Machine would probably be really relatable to books that I read. I don't have a favorite book chat up line. I've been married for 7 years, so I don't have one of those. And no, I have never used one. I don't really have a favorite book fandom. I'm not even really a part of a fandom. I like Harry Potter, but I didn't grow up with Harry Potter. I actually haven't even finished reading the whole series. I'm only on The Prisoner of Azkaban. I didn't grow up with that series, so I'm not really in a fandom with that. I'm not really in a fandom with Cassandra Clare's books. I like them, but I don't love them like a lot of other people do. So I really don't think I'm in a fandom. I think I'm just an overall fangirl for books in general. How many books do I own? Let's not talk about that. Who do I tag? I'm sure everyone has done this tag already except for the people that are new to BookTube, like me. So if you haven't done it already, go ahead and do it. And make sure you leave a link in the comments below and I will gladly watch it. So that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry for my kind of bleh mood. I'm not feeling that great today, but I wanted to film anyways. I was in the mood for it. So hopefully you guys still enjoyed and I will see you next time. Bye.